God, or the unconscious, may withdraw desire not as punishment but as purification. The chosen ones, those called to higher awareness, often undergo this inner drought. Their vitality is meant to evolve, not vanish.
Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When our sexual desire is silenced, it's not the death of passion, but the beginning of inner transformation.
The absence of desire forces us to confront ourselves, our loneliness, our emptiness, and the meaning we attach to love. It's the soul saying, "You've looked outside long enough, now look within." In Jungian thought, celibacy is not about denial, it's about alchemy. The withholding of sexual satisfaction transforms base instincts into higher creative powers. This process is not easy. It burns, refines, and tests.
Ancient mystics and prophets often experienced this divine starvation. Their longing for union, once physical, becomes spiritual. Jung compared this to alchemy's nigredo, the blackening phase, where all impurities rise to the surface before enlightenment. When God starves his chosen of sexual fulfillment, he is demanding that their energy becomes something sacred: art, insight, wisdom, or compassion. What once sought physical release now seeks divine expression. Through this inner alchemy, a person begins to channel libido, the life force, into creation instead of consumption. The fire doesn't die, it changes form. That's the harsh truth Jung understood. Spiritual gold is forged from the ashes of desire. There is an unbearable solitude that comes with divine withdrawal. Jung observed that the soul's evolution often isolates the individual. The chosen ones feel disconnected from ordinary pleasures, even from others who still live by them. This loneliness is sacred. It's the soul's wilderness, where every illusion burns away. In that silence, one learns to listen to the self, the higher center of consciousness that Jung called the God within. The absence of sexual desire becomes a mirror reflecting something greater: purpose. Jung would say this deprivation isn't rejection by life, but initiation into a new one. It's an apprenticeship of the soul, teaching one to love without attachment, to desire without dependence. Only by enduring this divine famine can one awaken to a love that transcends the body, a love rooted in spirit, not in need. In Jung's psychology, libido isn't just sexual energy, it's life energy. It drives art, ambition, and spirituality. When sexual desire diminishes, the libido doesn't disappear, it shifts direction. God may starve the chosen of earthly passion so that their life force can fuel divine creation. Jung saw this transformation as essential to individuation, the process of becoming whole. The same energy that once sought physical union now seeks union with meaning, truth, or God. Many artists, prophets, and thinkers experienced this shift. They turned their hunger for human intimacy into a hunger for transcendence. The body may feel abandoned, but the spirit awakens. This is the paradox Jung unveiled. The starvation of the flesh can nourish the soul. Desire, once bound to the senses, is liberated into creation. The harsh truth is this: divine deprivation is a gift disguised as loss. When God withholds desire, he's not punishing, he's redirecting. He's teaching that love is more than pleasure, it's purpose. Jung often said that people don't suffer without meaning, they suffer without understanding. When the chosen one recognizes the deeper intent behind the starvation, pain turns into purpose. In that awareness, the absence of sexual desire becomes sacred discipline, a calling to mastery of the self. The soul learns that divine love doesn't always come through touch, but through transcendence. To be chosen is to be refined, and sometimes that refinement begins with hunger, not for the body, but for the eternal. When sexual desire fades, most interpret it as loss, but Jung saw it as a psychic death that precedes rebirth. The libido doesn't die, it reincarnates into vision. The chosen ones are often forced through this cycle to awaken new sight, inner sight. The same energy once directed toward human intimacy now fuels intuition, dreams, and prophecy. Jung noted that great spiritual experiences often arise from what feels like personal emptiness. God starves the chosen because their purpose demands clarity, not distraction. The death of sensual hunger gives birth to spiritual insight. In that void, one begins to see rather than to crave. This death is terrifying but necessary. From it emerges a soul that no longer depends on pleasure for meaning, but creates meaning from pain. Desire is fire, but when God withholds the flame, the chosen one becomes the furnace. Jung compared this to the alchemical stage of calcination, where the ego is burned until only essence remains. This stage of divine starvation strips away pride, vanity, and attachment. It's not about extinguishing desire, but purifying it. The ego screams for satisfaction, but the self demands surrender. As this fire burns within, it refines every motive. What's left is pure longing, not for pleasure, but for purpose. In this sacred heat, a person learns the art of devotion. Jung believed that true transformation begins when you stop running from the fire and begin listening to what it's trying to teach you. Even when desire seems gone, temptation lingers in subtle forms: fantasies, memories, longings. Jung taught that these moments are mirrors reflecting the unconscious. They show us what we still worship. God doesn't starve the chosen to destroy them, but to show them where they still serve the wrong gods: ego, pride, pleasure. The withdrawal of satisfaction reveals what truly rules the heart. Only by facing this inner mirror without judgment can one transcend it. Jung said, "The gold is in the dark." The things you resist, your cravings, are the same things that can lead you to enlightenment when understood. Many confuse God's starvation with repression. Jung warned that repressing desire creates neurosis, inner conflict. But transformation is different. It's conscious redirection. Repression says, you must not feel. Transformation says, feel deeply, but channel it higher. During this starvation, prayer feels hollow, touch feels meaningless, and pleasure feels out of reach. Yet this silence is sacred. It's where divine transformation happens in secret. Jung called this the path to the self, the true image of God within. The starvation was never the punishment. It was the preparation for this inner wedding. Once the libido transforms, creativity erupts. Jung saw this as the natural next phase after deprivation. Many great artists and prophets emerged from seasons of sexual famine. That same force that once sought physical release becomes divine inspiration. The starving chosen one begins to paint, write, teach, or heal. Their desire becomes art in motion. The creative act is itself a sacred form of union between the conscious and the unconscious, heaven and earth. God doesn't kill desire, he reassigns it. Every masterpiece, every breakthrough is born from sublimated passion. This is how deprivation becomes divine abundance. When sexual desire is taken away, pride often collapses. The chosen one faces the humiliation of being powerless over their own body. Jung saw this as the humbling of the ego. In that humility, one learns dependence on something greater, the divine order. It's a surrender that breaks the illusion of control. This is where wisdom grows. Without humility, transformation cannot complete. The chosen must admit, I do not own this energy, I serve it. That's the harshest truth. The libido belongs to life, not to us. When God starves you, he's teaching you who truly commands the fire within. After long starvation, desire may return, but it's different. It's no longer lust, it's love. It carries awareness, reverence, and responsibility. Jung described this as the return of eros in purified form.
the ability to connect deeply without losing oneself. The chosen one can finally love as a whole being, not from emptiness. This new desire doesn't enslave, it empowers. It creates connection that nourishes rather than consumes. The soul that endured famine now understands abundance. Desire becomes not hunger, but gratitude. The withdrawal of pleasure is one of God's hardest disciplines. Jung believed the divine uses deprivation to force self-knowledge. When all external comforts fade, one must confront their own inner poverty. This confrontation is brutal, but necessary. The chosen learn to find joy in stillness, meaning in solitude, and beauty in simplicity. The starvation trains the soul to see God in all things, not just in pleasure. It's the unseen discipline that produces saints, sages, and creators. God's harshness hides his deepest mercy. When the chosen emerge from this divine famine, they are no longer the same. Jung called this resurrection, the rebirth of the psyche. The self that was ruled by instinct dies, and a higher consciousness takes its place. The libido becomes obedient to spirit, not to impulse.